Coronation Street is the world's longest running soap opera. It was first broadcast on British television in December 1960. It has never stopped since. With over 9,000 episodes, it shows no signs of slowing down. Millions have tuned into its high profile storylines through the years, some of the most memorable ones being Richard Hillman wanting to kill the Platt family, or Tony Gordon ordering the murder of Liam Connor after discovering that his fiancée was having an affair with him. And for the show's 50th anniversary, there was a tram crash storyline, which involved one of the biggest stunts ever seen in soap history, with a viaduct collapsing and a tram destroying a corner shop. But everything ended up fine and dandy at the end of the day. Of course, you can't have a soap without some really bad storylines headed by terrible characters who may be acted out by poor performers. Some that spring to mind are a vicar falling off a cliff and somehow he survived. And there's a lot of other storylines that are going on right now which are just bad. And I mean really, really bad. So this made me ask, does Coronation Street suck? Let's start off by talking about the diminishing quality of not this programme, but some television programmes in general. Coronation Street has lasted for well over 50 years, so it's not really anyone's fault that the programme has diminished in quality due to a lack of new ideas. The same thing happened to Doctor Who in its initial 26-year run, as I feel that the quality dipped in the 1980s with the odd gem here and there with stories like Earthshock, The Caves Around Azani, and Remembrance of the Daleks, to name a few. But this was in a series format. Coronation Street has been on every week, more or less, since its first ever broadcast, so that means that people are working on it all the time. Over the years, the amount of episodes in a week have drastically increased. Now, 6 episodes are shown in 1 week. That is 6 episodes all in 1 week. Wow. Now, I've got to give credit to ITV for that, but whatever happened to quality over quantity? I really think that this has affected the show really badly, and the reason for that is due to the higher demand for scripts, meaning less time for them to get finished, less time for actors to really get to grips with what they're given, and therefore a noticeable dip in the quality of the programme. Of course, I could be completely wrong. This is my own opinion, but I really strongly believe this could be a reason for the dip in quality of this show. Now, I'll be honest, I don't watch all 6 episodes religiously because I'm not really a Corrie fan. My mum watches it, so it's always on in the house. Sometimes I'm on my phone, half watching it, or playing on my Nintendo Switch in handheld mode. But from what I've seen recently, this programme really is a shadow of its former self. When the programme was first conceived, it was to be about the middle class in the north, and it was a good show that was on twice weekly. Going into the new millennium, the show took a more gritty route, and I think that's down to the success of EastEnders. Now, I'll be honest, gritty really suits EastEnders, and I prefer that programme to Coronation Street. I don't think it suits this programme at all. I think that it is a better programme with better actors in EastEnders and better storylines, even though sometimes that can also be tedious. But like I said earlier, all soaps go through bad parts and bad phases, bad storylines. Coronation Street is now tedious for me about 90% of the time, and that's due to these stupid storylines which are just beyond belief, with pointless characters that neither I or even my mother give two hoots about. Now, I just want to say that this is by no means an attack on any of the actors working on the show whatsoever. I know for a fact that there are some actors on there that are really talented, but they're just being wasted on a program because they come across as awful, and that may be due to bad writers or, dare I say it, bad directors. Some of the storylines I can see about a mile away, and it's become really predictable, and there's some that just make absolutely no sense. Sometimes I miss an episode and X, Y, and Z has happened, and I'm like, what? Since when? Other times I miss an episode and I haven't missed anything. Good job I did. I find all these storylines to be highly coincidental. Sometimes a certain character affected by a certain storyline is in the same room as another character who is affected by the same storyline. I find myself saying, oh, what a coincidence, a lot. Sometimes a character could be sat in the Rover's Return in the middle of a day, just for no reason, just because. Or in Roy's Cafe, just because. Don't these people have, jobs to do? Which is another thing. Is it me, or does this street have literally everything except satellite dishes on the houses? I mean, they might do, but I've not noticed. It has a cobble road, which it is famous for, and a lot of things are old-fashioned. Yeah, whatever, but this street must be really thriving. It has a pub, it has a bistro, it has a cafe, it has 2 corner shops, it has a gym, it has a butcher's, it has a bookies, it has a salon, it has a factory which sells knickers for some odd reason. It has a community centre, it has a doctor's, it has a taxi service, it has a garage, and it has houses. Oh my god. You know, I'm pretty sure that I've missed something off that, but it just shows how ridiculous. Oh wait, there's a kebab shop. There you go. Now, the storylines in context are dire. Remember I mentioned earlier on about the vicar who fell from the cliff and he survived? Yeah, he survived and now he's addicted to heroin. On top of that, he's adopted a daughter with his gay partner, and now the daughter is at Eileen's, which I predicted about 6 months ago, because as the programme's writers and producers dictate, just because. It's Coronation Street, because this would happen in real life, wouldn't it? Speaking of Eileen, she must be the most stupid character known to mankind, because she is married to another serial killer. You thought having a few serial killers, rapists, and other criminals on the street wasn't enough? Here's another. Pat Phelan is the latest serial killer to grace our screens. To be honest, though, he's actually one of the best characters in it at the minute. And to be fair, this is a storyline that has just gone on for too long, though. I call BS on the Anna Windass going to jail stuff because one minute Eileen believed that Anna was innocent and she's been framed by her husband, and then literally in the next episode, without any warning, she defends her husband, like the episode before her never happened. Like, what? This storyline has gone out of hand. It feels like it belongs in a Grand Theft Auto game, because he's killed, so many people now. Next we have Michelle leaving Steve McDonald for Robert, just because. Yeah, just because. Oh, and her long-lost son has come back to work at the doctor's, just because. Why did Carla Connor have a fling with Daniel Barlow, the brother of her ex-husband? Just because. And why do I sound like I'm taking this too seriously? Just because. Like I said before, I think the key thing to this problem is quantity. The quantity of episodes in a week, the fact that it's been on for so long, and there are so few other innovative ideas to bring to this soap now. And I do feel that there are some characters that shouldn't be there, and they're just shoehorned in for the sake of it. Therefore, there are too many characters as well. Not many of them stick out to me as being iconic either. Yeah, you have your Ken Barlows, your Roys, your Peters, your Steves, your Liz's, your Sallys, your Carlas, and all the Platt family. And those, I think, are fine. But tell me, how many of those have been introduced in, say, the last 10 years? None of them. So yeah, there's a problem with the newer characters as well. I don't really invest in them. I don't really care about them. Of course, there have been some exceptions in recent times when the programme has dealt with sensitive issues like the grooming storyline with Beverly Platt and the sexual assault storyline with David Platt. So I have to give them a pat on the back because I have to say they have been done really well and have been taken with great care, and it can show us things that sadly do happen in the real world. Overall, I'm not going to say that Coronation Street outright sucks, because there are plenty of people out there that don't think that this is the case and will disagree with me. And that's alright. Everyone has their own opinion. This is my own opinion. My mother has known it for as long as she can remember, and she watches it religiously, like I watch my favourite shows and movies and football team religiously as well. But even she has said that some of the stuff in it now is bad writing, acting, directing, you name it. She said that it is far from the programme that started in the 1960s, that reached its heights in the late 20th century, having legends such as Jack Vera, or Hilda Ogden, or Betty Driver and Bette Lynch, to name a few. All those are legends in their own right. If we could have new ones for this programme, then that would be great. Bottom line, Coronation Street is being watched by millions for a reason, and that is because it is now part of British culture. This show has always had a British identity, but I, like a few people, believe that in this moment the show is a shadow of its former self.